Hey guys, tonight we delve into a story that glitters with both desperation and the kind of impossible, dazzling hope that only a truly high-stakes moment can conjure. Picture this: the scent of stale smoke, desperation, and cheap disinfectant hangs heavy in the air. Your palm is sweating, not from the heat, but from the almost unbearable pressure of what you're about to do. We're talking about that one final coin, that last solitary chance clutched so tight it feels like it could melt. You probably won't survive this tale with your fingernails intact. It's a real edge of your seat, or rather, edge of your pillow kind of journey. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. As always, I love seeing where you're all tuning in from, so drop your location and local time in the comments below. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You stand there, a universe of worry condensed into the small, weary space you occupy. The fabric of your clothes feels thin, a flimsy barrier against a world that has, of late, shown you its harshest side. Your stomach performs a series of nervous acrobatics, a silent protest against the emptiness within and the gnawing anxiety that has become your constant companion. In your pocket, your fingers trace the familiar, cold outline of the object that has become the focal point of your entire existence. A single, solitary coin. It's not particularly remarkable in itself, worn smooth by time and countless transactions. Its once proud etchings now just faint suggestions, like a portrait of a long-forgotten monarch who's clearly seen better millennia, much like yourself these days. Yet, this small disc of metal feels impossibly heavy, a concentrated weight of all your dwindling hopes, your pressing needs, your whispered, half-believed prayers. It's your last stand, the final bullet in the chamber, the last Jenga block before everything in Ozymandias' impersonation. How did you get here? The path to this moment wasn't a sudden plummet but a slow, insidious erosion, like a coastline surrendering to a relentless tide. Perhaps it began with the shuttering of the factory, the place where your hands, calloused and capable, had earned a steady, if modest, living for years. Or maybe it was the cascade of medical bills that followed a loved one's illness, each envelope a fresh wave of dread, washing away your meager savings until only bedrock remained. It could have been a series of smaller misfortunes, a relentless drizzle of bad news and unfortunate timings that, taken individually, were manageable, but together, formed a perfect storm that drenched your spirit and emptied your coffers. There was no single villain to blame, no dramatic betrayal, just the grinding gears of life's less glamorous machinery chewing through your reserves. You've tried everything, of course. The extra shifts when they were available, the selling of treasured possessions that each carried a sliver of your past, the humbling requests for help that were met with sympathetic, but ultimately empty, hands. Your current life choices, you reflect with a grimace, would probably make for a reality TV show that even the most dedicated doomscrollers would find a bit too bleak. Tune in next week. Will our hero manage to turn lint into a viable currency? Signs point to no. And so, with all other avenues appearing as dead ends, your gaze, almost against your will, has been drawn to the glittering, often deceptive, allure of the gamble. It's a strange human quirk, isn't it? This tendency to turn towards the longest of odds when logic dictates there's no sensible path forward. It's the siren song of the what if, the whispered promise that a single moment, a single stroke of impossible fortune, can undo months, even years of hardship. The rational part of your brain, the bit that still remembers maths class and probability, screams that it's folly. But another part, the older, more primal part that thrives on hope however slim, murmurs a seductive counter-argument. This isn't about logic anymore. It's about a desperate need for a miracle, a Hail Mary pass in the final second of a game you are comprehensively losing. Historically, this isn't a new phenomenon. Humankind has long flirted with chance, especially when times are tough. In colonial America, for instance, lotteries were incredibly common, often used to fund public works like roads, churches, and even universities like Harvard and Yale. For the ordinary person, struggling to make ends meet, buying a lottery ticket wasn't just a flight of fancy. It was one of the very few avenues, however improbable, to dream of a dramatically different life, a sudden elevation from poverty. Even further back, the Romans, famous for their bread and circuses approach to keeping the populace content, sometimes included elements of chance in their public distributions, a small taste of potential unearned gain. It's a timeless human story. When the doors of conventional opportunity seem bolted shut, the flickering light from the house of chance can seem irresistibly bright. You pull the coin from your pocket, letting it rest in your sweaty palm. You wonder, for a fleeting moment, about its own journey. How many hands has it passed through? What stories could it tell? Perhaps it once paid for a child's first sweet, or bought a moment of warmth for a beggar on a freezing night. Maybe it was part of a king's ransom, or a pirate's buried treasure, before finding its way, through the mundane ebb and flow of commerce, into your possession. If this coin had a frequent flyer account for all the desperate pockets it's resided in, it'd likely have enough miles for a first-class, one-way ticket to a dimension where problems dissolve like sugar in tea. A lovely thought, but not particularly helpful right now. There's a quirky old saying your grandmother used to have, something about how a coin found on a rainy Tuesday by a man with mismatched socks was destined for great things. You glance down at your own socks, definitely mismatched, a casualty of hasty laundry and a general lack of sartorial enthusiasm. And was it raining when you found this particular coin? You can't recall. Probably not. It's likely just a normal, run-of-the-mill piece of currency, with no special destiny other than the one you're about to try and force upon it. Historians still argue whether such specific lucky charm beliefs, which you find in almost every culture, stem from genuine, isolated instances of coincidence that get magnified into legend, or if they are a more fundamental psychological coping mechanism for dealing with uncertainty. Whatever the case, this coin feels different now simply because it's all you have. It's less a piece of money and more a tiny, metallic deity of last resort. The internal debate rages. One part of you, the sensible, bill-paying, slightly boring part, is screaming blue murder. This is insane. You know the odds. This is throwing good money after bad. Except it's not even good money, it's the last money. Then there's the other voice, smooth, persuasive, a little bit dangerous, like a tiny, impeccably dressed loan shark who set up shop on your other shoulder, complete with a surprisingly professional PowerPoint presentation detailing potential windfalls. But what if? It whispers, its voice like silk and a slot machine payout combined. What if this is the time? What if this is the universe finally deciding to cut you some slack? You deserve a break, don't you? The pressure is immense, not just from your own internal conflict, but from the weight of external needs. There are faces that flash in your mind, loved ones who are depending on you, whose own quiet desperation mirrors your own. This isn't just about you. It's about them, about the possibility, however remote, of lifting that burden from their shoulders too. You find your feet moving, almost of their own accord, carrying you towards the only place that seems to offer even a sliver of that impossible, life-altering magic. The streets you walk are familiar, yet they feel different tonight, tinged with the heightened senses that come with a pivotal moment. The usual city sounds, the distant wail of a siren, the murmur of late-night conversations from open windows, the rhythmic whoosh of passing cars, seem to fade into a backdrop for the louder thumping of your own heart. Each step is heavy, a slow march towards an uncertain fate. The coin in your hand is now a talisman, a focal point for every desperate hope you possess. You clutch it tight, as if its metallic warmth can somehow seep into your own chilled spirit. This gleaming hope you carry is so faint, so fragile, you're half convinced it's running on a critically low battery, about to flicker out at any second. But it hasn't gone out yet. Not quite. And as long as it's there, you keep walking. The building looms before you, not so much a structure of brick and mortar as a pulsating entity, a beacon in the otherwise drab landscape of your recent existence. Its entrance, a gaudy maw of flashing lights and beckoning promises, exhales a warm, strangely perfumed breath that carries with it the faint, tinny symphony of 1,000 falling coins, or perhaps, more accurately, 1,000 coins being hopefully inserted. You pause for a microsecond, a tiny eternity of indecision at the threshold. This is it. The point of no return, or perhaps the point of an entirely new, unimaginable beginning. The final coin, still clutched in your hand, feels like a burning ember against your skin. With a breath that feels as shaky as a newborn foal, you step across. Instantly, you are swallowed. The transition from the quiet desperation of the outside street to the manufactured ecstasy within is a physical shock. It's a sensory assault, a carefully orchestrated carnival designed to overwhelm and entice. Lights, a relentless aurora borealis of neon pinks, electric blues, and hopeful golds, flash and dance across every surface, reflecting in the mirrored ceilings and the wide, unblinking eyes of the patrons. The sound is a cacophony, yet somehow hypnotic. The constant, hopeful clatter of coins or tokens these days, cascading into metal trays, the whirring and beeping of electronic games engaged in their tireless seduction, the low murmur of 100 hushed conversations punctuated by sudden yelps of joy or groans of despair. And the smell, oh, the smell. It's a potent cocktail of stale cigarette smoke. Even if officially banned, its ghost lingers like a disappointed gambler, spilled alcohol, a cloying miasma of cheap air freshener trying valiantly to mask the underlying scent of anxiety, and the faintest, almost metallic tang of collective, concentrated hope. You'd heard some casinos pump specific scents into the air to encourage spending, a little olfactory manipulation to go with the visual and auditory bombardment. It's like being inside a giant, glittering pinball machine that's also trying to sell you a timeshare in a state of mild euphoria. Your eyes try to take it all in, this congregation, gathered in what you can only describe as a cathedral of chance. They are a diverse flock, yet united by a common prayer to the fickle deity of fortune. There are the wide-eyed tourists, giggling and snapping photos, treating it all as a bit of harmless fun, their pockets still comfortably full. Then there are the regulars, their faces etched with a weary familiarity, moving with a practiced, almost somnambulistic gait from one machine to another, their rituals as ingrained as a monk's daily observances. You see the high rollers, or at least those aspiring to the title, gathered at the roped-off tables, their laughter a little too loud, their gestures a little too grand, radiating an aura of performative wealth. And then there are those like you, the ones whose hope is a sharper, more desperate thing, their eyes scanning the room not for entertainment, but for salvation. You see a woman meticulously polishing 3 identical charms before inserting her money, a man who taps his chosen slot machine 7 times, then bows slightly before pressing the button. He's either deep in communion with the ancient spirits of fortune, or he's just forgotten his glasses and is trying to identify the spin icon by touch. Hard to tell, really. The very architecture of this place is a masterclass in psychological manipulation. There are no clocks visible, a deliberate omission designed to make time dissolve, to keep you lost in the eternal now of the next potential win. Windows, if they exist at all, are heavily draped or tinted, severing any connection to the outside world, to the cycle of day and night that might otherwise remind you of responsibilities or the simple passage of hours. The layout is often deliberately labyrinthine, a winding maze of game banks and themed alcoves that makes finding an exit a minor quest in itself. It's all part of the design, a carefully crafted environment to encourage you to stay, to play just one more game. The famous Ridotto in Venice, established way back in 1638, is often cited as one of Europe's first public, government-sanctioned gambling houses. It was designed to control gambling during carnival season, with high stakes and a formal dress code, catering mostly to the nobility. Even then, they understood the power of a dedicated space for the pursuit of fortune, though their version probably had fewer flashing lights and slightly less offensive carpeting. The carpet here, you notice, is a swirling vortex of clashing colors and bewildering patterns so aggressively cheerful it could probably be used to interrogate spies. You feel a strange mix of emotions swirling within you. There's intimidation, certainly, at the sheer scale of the place, the noise, the intensity. There's a touch of revulsion, too, at the raw, undisguised hunger you see in some eyes. Yet, paradoxically, there's also a bizarre sense of belonging. Here, in this temple of last resorts and improbable dreams, your own quiet desperation doesn't feel quite so out of place. You are just one more soul seeking a sign, a turn, a moment of grace from an indifferent universe. The air itself seems to hum with potential energy, the collective psychic charge of hundreds of people all intensely focused on what if. You wonder if the static electricity in the carpet is from all the crossed fingers. You drift past a roulette wheel, its hypnotic spin a miniature galaxy of numbers and colors. A small crowd is gathered, their faces illuminated by the overhead light, a study in rapt attention. The croupier, with his smooth, practiced patter and a face that has seen every human emotion 1,000 times over, calls out, "No more bets, please," like a priest closing the gates to a momentary paradise. The little white ball, an ivory sphere of destiny, dances around the rim, hesitates, then clatters decisively into a slot. Collective sigh, a muted cheer. Fortunes, however small, made and unmade in a second. Historians still argue whether the invention of specific gambling games, like roulette with its supposed links to Blaise Pascal's perpetual motion machine experiments, was a purely mathematical or recreational pursuit, or if there was always an inherent understanding of their deep psychological allure. Certainly feels more than recreational right now. Your feet, guided by some unseen current, carry you away from the communal drama of the tables, deeper into the chiming, flashing heart of the machine aisles. Rows upon rows of slot machines, the one-armed bandits of old now evolved into dazzling video extravaganzas, stretch out before you. Each one is a self-contained universe of themes and promises. Ancient Egypt, mythical creatures, dazzling jewels, popular movies, all designed to lure you in with their specific brand of digital charisma. Their screens flash with near misses, tantalizing glimpses of what could have been. A clever psychological trick to keep you hooked. The music they play is a carefully composed symphony of encouragement, little bursts of triumphant sound even for minor wins, all building towards the grand crescendo of a jackpot that most will only ever hear in their dreams. These machines, you muse, are the ultimate optimists, always singing a song of almost maybe just one more try, which, coincidentally, is the working title for the unwritten chapter of your life story detailing your attempts to assemble flat-pack furniture. Slowly, one particular machine begins to pull at your attention. It's not the flashiest, nor the loudest. Perhaps it's the theme that resonates with some forgotten childhood memory, or maybe the worn look of its spin button suggests it's been a conduit for many hopes before yours. It could be the specific gentle hum it emits, a frequency that somehow cuts through the surrounding din and speaks directly to that small, flickering ember of hope within you. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the only one not currently occupied by someone who looks like they might offer you unsolicited life advice if you stand too close. Whatever the reason, you find yourself standing before it. This is your altar. The rows of other machines, the distant shouts from the craps table, the clinking of glasses from the bar, it all fades into a muted background hum. There is only you, this machine, and the single solitary coin in your hand, now feeling like the key to everything or to nothing at all. You are fully inside the cathedral now, a supplicant before a chosen idol, ready to make your offering. And there you are, standing before your chosen machine, this gleaming, impassive arbiter of your immediate future. It hums softly, a low thrum of dormant power, its screen alive with inviting colors and symbols that promise everything and nothing. The final coin in your hand feels less like currency now and more like a sacred offering, a single concentrated bead of pure, unadulterated hope. Or perhaps, you think with a grimace, a bead of pure, unadulterated foolishness. The air around you is thick with the casino's manufactured cheer, but in your small bubble of reality, a profound silence seems to have fallen. It's just you, the machine, and this tiny, worn piece of metal that holds the weight of your world. Your palm is so slick with nervous sweat, you're half convinced the coin might just slip from your grasp and roll under a neighboring machine, destined to become the jackpot for some dust bunny with surprisingly good investment strategies. A fleeting image, sharp and unwelcome, flashes through your mind, the stack of unopened bills on your kitchen table, each one a paper Shylock demanding its pound of flesh. Then, just as quickly, it's replaced by a desperate, shimmering vision of what a win, any win, could mean. A moment of breathing room, a reprieve from the relentless pressure, a chance to reset the terrible trajectory your life seems to be on. You shake your head slightly, trying to dispel both the ghosts of past failures and the seductive phantoms of unearned success. Focus. Just focus on the now, on this one act. Your hands, you notice with a detached sort of surprise, are trembling. Not violently, but with a fine, persistent tremor that makes the coin dance almost imperceptibly in your grip. You try to steady them, taking a shallow breath that does little to calm the frantic bird fluttering in your chest. The metal of the machine beneath your other hand is cool, smooth, indifferent. It has no stake in your personal drama. It's merely a conduit, a beautifully designed mechanism for processing hope into either elation or despair. You find yourself caught in one last, furious internal debate. The sensible part of you, the one that's been trying to stage an intervention for the past hour, is making its final, impassioned plea. This is it. It wails, its voice sounding suspiciously like your third-grade teacher explaining fractions. The absolute antithesis of a sound financial strategy. The probability of a significant return is infinitesimally small. You're essentially just feeding this perfectly good, albeit lonely, coin to a very shiny, very noisy digital monster. And then there's the other voice, the one that sounds a bit like a Las Vegas lounge singer who's seen it all but still believes in a good light show. But darling, it croons, what if this is the moment? The universe loves a good underdog story. Think of the sheer, unadulterated narrative satisfaction. Besides, what else have you got? A meticulously organized collection of anxieties. It's a compelling argument, especially when your other options seem to involve a career in competitive sighing. The slot machine itself, this particular type of temptation, has a fascinating history. The first true mechanical slot machine, the Liberty Bell, was invented by a chap named Charles Fay in San Francisco way back in the 1890s. It was a marvel of simple, robust engineering, with 3 spinning reels, symbols like horseshoes, spades, diamonds, hearts, and a cracked Liberty Bell for the jackpot. Its genius lay in its immediacy, its individual nature. You didn't need to understand complex card game rules or face other players. It was just you against the machine, a private duel with destiny. It democratized gambling, making it accessible, quick, and undeniably alluring with its promise of an instant payout for a small investment. From those clunky, cast-iron beginnings to the sophisticated digital displays before you now, the core appeal hasn't really changed. The mesmerizing spin, the tantalizing possibility, the instant verdict. With a resolve that feels both monumental and utterly reckless, you lift the coin. Your fingers, still not entirely steady, guide it towards the narrow, waiting slot. It's an almost ceremonial act. The entrance to the slot is cool, metallic, precise. You push. There's a soft, almost imperceptible click as the coin slides home. A tiny sound swallowed by the casino's grand opera of noise. Yet for you, it resonates like a gong. It's done. The offering has been made. There's a curious finality to it, a sense of having crossed an invisible Rubicon. Your last tangible resource is now inside the belly of the beast, or perhaps the heart of the miracle. You almost expect the machine to verbally acknowledge your sacrifice. Thank you for your offering. Your potential future is now buffering. Please enjoy these complimentary flashing lights. There's an old gambler's superstition, one of many thousands that cling to these places like invisible cobwebs, that the way you insert a coin can influence the outcome. Some believe in using the left hand only, others whisper a specific word or name as the coin drops. A few even try to align the monarch's head on the coin to face north before insertion, presumably to appease the great cosmic magnet of fortune. You didn't do any of that. Your ritual was simply one of quiet desperation and a prayer so fervent it was almost entirely silent. You've heard of the hot and cold machine fallacy too, the idea that a machine that hasn't paid out in a while is due, or one that just paid out is cold. Cognitive scientists still debate the precise nature of the gambler's fallacy, the belief that past independent events can somehow influence future outcomes, like a coin remembering it landed on heads too many times, and why this particular quirk of human reasoning remains so stubbornly pervasive despite a clear understanding of statistical independence. Right now, you're not thinking about statistics. You're thinking this machine owes you, personally, for the sheer emotional energy you've just invested in its indifferent metallic soul. Now comes the moment of suspension. The coin is in. The offering is accepted. But the ritual is not yet complete. Your hand hovers over the spin button, or perhaps it's an old-fashioned lever on this particular model, a satisfyingly chunky handle that feels like you're about to arm wrestle fate itself. Time stretches, taffy-like. The surrounding casino noise seems to recede further, as if a cone of silence has descended around you and your chosen machine. Your entire world narrows to this single point, this one impending action. Your breath catches in your throat. Every nerve ending feels alive, zinging with a mixture of dread and a wild, almost painful hope. It's like standing on the world's highest diving board, knowing the pool below might contain either cool, refreshing water or a surprisingly large quantity of very disappointed crocodiles. You make your choice. Your finger presses the glowing button, or your hand grips and pulls the lever. There's a satisfyingly decisive thunk or a smooth electronic whir as the mechanism engages. And then, the waiting. It's only a few seconds, an eternity compressed into a blink. The reels begin to spin, a blur of colors and symbols, a kaleidoscope of potential futures. Or if it's a digital display, the numbers and images flicker and dance with a speed that defies comprehension. Your eyes are locked onto the screen, trying to decipher some pattern in the chaos, some hint of the outcome. Your senses are on such high alert, you're pretty sure you can hear the faint electrical sigh of the microprocessors doing their random number generating thing. Or maybe that's just the sound of your life savings politely declining to return your calls. In these few, agonizing microseconds, you are utterly, completely helpless. The decision was yours to commit the coin, to initiate the spin. But now, the outcome is entirely out of your hands. You are a spectator to your own destiny, a passive witness to the unfolding of a script written by an invisible, indifferent author. All you can do is watch and wait and breathe, or try to. The coin has plunged. The wheels are in motion. You are suspended, a tiny speck of humanity, on the very precipice of something. The silence in your little bubble is so profound now. You can almost hear the universe holding its breath along with you. Or maybe that's just the guy next to you who's really, really hoping for a cherry. The world, which had compressed itself into the spinning, blurring chaos of the machine's display, now seems to slow, each microsecond stretching into an agonizing, drawn-out breath. Your own breath is trapped somewhere in your chest, a prisoner of hope and dread. The first reel, a vibrant hieroglyph of some forgotten fruit-based deity, clunks into place with an almost insolent finality. Your eyes dart to the second. It wobbles, teases, a shimmering dancer performing its last pirouette. Then with a decisive click, it too aligns. Perfect match. Your heart executes a maneuver that feels suspiciously like it's trying to escape through your ribcage. The third reel, the final arbiter, the gatekeeper of either crushing disappointment or unimaginable deliverance, is still a blur, a taunting streak of color. It slows, crawls, each pixel fighting against the inevitable halt. And then, it stops. Silence. For a fraction of a second, an impossible, deafening silence descends, the kind that precedes either a miracle or a complete system failure of your emotional motherboard. Your brain, still braced for the familiar thud of another near miss, another better luck next time, struggles to process the image before you. 3 identical symbols, blazing in perfect, triumphant alignment. 3 cherries, perhaps, glowing like rubies from a dragon's hoard. 3 sevens, standing proud and tall like celestial sentinels. 3 golden bells, ready to peal a new dawn. Whatever they are perfect. They are the combination. They are the impossible made manifest. And then the universe explodes. It starts as a single high-pitched chime from the machine, a tiny, almost polite announcement. But it's instantly, ferociously, swallowed by an eruption, a volcanic cataclysm of sound. Bells, real and synthesized, begin to clang with an insane, joyous abandon. Sirens, previously dormant within the machine's guts, wail with the enthusiasm of 1,000 emergency vehicles all arriving at the scene of a particularly festive accident. A triumphant, multi-layered musical fanfare, something that sounds like a full orchestra being conducted by a very excited robot, blasts out at a volume that vibrates the fillings in your teeth. The machine itself seems to be screaming, not in pain, but in a paroxysm of pure, unadulterated, jackpot-induced ecstasy. It's less a sound and more a physical force, a tidal wave of noise that washes over you, through you, threatening to obliterate all rational thought. You're pretty sure it's loud enough to be heard by startled shepherds on distant, pastoral hillsides, who are now probably wondering if their sheep have suddenly taken up opera. Then come the lights. The machine before you, which was already a fairly enthusiastic participant in the casino's general festival of illumination, now goes supernova. Every bulb, every LED, every pixel on its screen ignites with a blinding, frenetic intensity. Strobes flash, colors pulse, patterns swirl in a dizzying, psychedelic ballet. It's as if a dying star decided to give its final, spectacular performance right here, in this unassuming corner of the casino. The light is so intense, you instinctively throw a hand up to shield your eyes, half expecting to see your own bones silhouetted against the glare, like a surprised cartoon character who's just swallowed a lit firework. You're going to need sunglasses, a wide-brimmed hat, and possibly a team of ophthalmologists on standby. Your body reacts before your mind can even begin to parse the sensory overload. There's a jolt, a full-body tremor, as if you've been struck by a bolt of invisible lightning. Your knees, which have been valiantly supporting your weight through this whole ordeal, suddenly decide they've had enough and threaten to go on an unscheduled vacation. You might find yourself staggering back a step, or perhaps gripping the machine for dear life, its vibrating chassis now the only solid thing in a world that has suddenly become unmoored. Disbelief is a thick, cloying fog in your brain. This can't be real. This doesn't happen. Not to you. Not with your very last coin. It's a dream, a hallucination brought on by stress and the lingering aroma of whatever they use to clean the casino carpets. A substance you suspect might have mild psychoactive properties. For a moment, despite the cacophony raging around you, an odd internal silence descends. Time itself seems to warp, stretching and distorting like old film caught in a projector. The triumphant blare of the machine fades to a distant hum in your ears. The flashing lights become slow, pulsing waves. Your mind is a blank slate, wiped clean by the sheer, overwhelming impossibility of it all. It's trying to catch up, to process the raw data thundering in through your senses, but it's like trying to download the entire internet through a dial-up modem made of particularly stubborn cheese. It simply cannot compute. Huge, life-altering wins, while rare, have always captured public imagination. Think of the sheer, unadulterated pandemonium that erupts during Spain's El Gordo Christmas lottery, where entire villages or workplaces often share in massive prizes, leading to communal celebrations that border on national holidays. Or consider the tales of early American sweepstakes winners in the 19th century, whose sudden fortunes were reported in newspapers across the country, transforming ordinary individuals into overnight celebrities, objects of both envy and inspiration. These weren't just personal windfalls. They became public spectacles, modern-day fairy tales, or sometimes cautionary ones. The sound erupting from your machine feels like it belongs in that league, an announcement of a fundamental shift in the cosmic order, at least as it pertains to you. Slowly, agonizingly, the fog in your brain begins to lift, pricked by the sheer, undeniable persistence of the machine's celebration. Your eyes are drawn, as if by an invisible force, to the numbers displayed on the screen. The payout, the jackpot, the figures are there, stark and unblinking, a string of digits so long, so impossibly inflated, that they seem to belong to an astronomical calculation rather than a sum of money. Your brain attempts to quantify it, to translate those glowing numbers into something tangible: rent paid, debts cleared, a lifetime of security, but it keeps short-circuiting. For a second, you genuinely wonder if you've broken the machine, if this is its digital death rattle before it explodes in a shower of error messages and apologetic casino staff offering you a free buffet coupon for your trouble. There are countless stories, some apocryphal, some disturbingly well-documented, about the immediate, bizarre reactions of people who hit massive jackpots. Some faint dead away. Others stare in catatonic silence for minutes on end. One famous story tells of a woman who, after hitting a multi-million-dollar prize, calmly asked the casino attendant if she could get her initial $5 back as well. Historians and psychologists still debate whether such varied, often counterintuitive, initial reactions to overwhelming good fortune are primarily driven by shock, a temporary breakdown of normal cognitive processing, or if they reveal deeper, pre-existing personality traits and coping mechanisms. You're not sure what your reaction reveals, other than a profound ability to resemble a goldfish that's just been unexpectedly presented with the theory of relativity. You might find yourself doing something utterly mundane, a reflex action from a life that no longer exists. Perhaps you reach into your pocket for another coin, out of sheer habit, before realizing the absurdity of it. Or maybe you just stand there, blinking, as the machine continues its relentless, joyful assault on your senses. It's like a very enthusiastic, very wealthy puppy that's just learned a new trick and simply will not stop demonstrating it. See? I can make you rich. Aren't I a good boy? More lights? More noise? You got it. The initial, overwhelming shockwave begins to recede, just enough for the first tendrils of a new, even more terrifying thought to take root. This is real. This isn't a dream. This isn't a drill. This isn't some elaborate prank orchestrated by a bored deity with a peculiar sense of humor. The lights are real. The sound is real. The impossible string of numbers glowing on the screen is, by all accounts, terrifyingly, life-shatteringly real. The sheer, unadulterated improbability of it all is what makes it so hard to grasp. It's like discovering that your pet hamster has not only been secretly writing a best-selling series of existential novels, but has also just been awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. It's just not in the realm of expected outcomes. And with that dawning, earth-tilting realization, the true symphony of a million suns isn't just the noise and light from the machine. It's the explosion of a million possible futures, a million new paths, a million unforeseen consequences, all erupting simultaneously in your mind. Your old life, the one you inhabited just moments ago, with its familiar anxieties and its single, desperate coin, has been utterly, irrevocably vaporized. In its place is a blinding, undefined, terrifyingly exhilarating new reality. You are standing in the very eye of a hurricane of pure, dumbfounding fortune, and the world, as you knew it, will never ever be the same. The blinding light and deafening roar from the triumphant machine, your personal supernova of fortune, finally begin to coalesce into something more tangible, something that other human beings are clearly noticing. Your cocoon of stunned disbelief, that strange, timeless bubble where only you and the impossible numbers existed, is abruptly, almost violently punctured. The first indication that your private miracle is about to go very, very public is the subtle shift in the casino's ambient hum. It's like a stone dropped into a still pond. The ripples of awareness are spreading outwards from your now celebrity slot machine at an alarming rate. First to arrive are the casino staff, materializing with a speed and efficiency that suggests they might have a dedicated, impending colossal payout early warning system, possibly involving highly trained psychic ferrets. An attendant, whose name tag reads Brenda, and whose smile looks like it's been professionally starched, is suddenly at your elbow, her voice a practiced calm amidst the machine's ongoing celebratory tantrum. "Well now, looks like you've had a bit of a win there, haven't you?" she says, her tone implying you've merely found an extra 20 in a coat pocket, not just financially nuked your previous existence. Behind her, a more imposing figure in a slightly sharper suit, a pit boss, perhaps, or a shift manager whose job description includes remain unflappable in the face of wallet-exploding events, is already speaking quietly but urgently into a radio. You catch snippets. "Yeah, the big one on number 7. No, I'm not kidding. Get security down here, pronto, and someone call Mr. Henderson. Tell him to bring the good champagne and maybe a defibrillator for this one. You're this one. That's your new official title, apparently." Then comes the crowd. It starts as a trickle, a few curious onlookers from adjacent machines, their own hopes momentarily forgotten as they crane their necks to see what all the fuss is about. But the sheer, unadulterated volume of noise and light your machine is vomiting forth is a siren song few gamblers can resist. The trickle becomes a stream, then a small, pressing flood of humanity. Faces appear, a gallery of expressions. Wide-eyed disbelief, naked envy that stings like a physical slap, vicarious excitement, a few looks of grudging admiration, and the occasional blank stare from someone who's clearly just here for the free coffee and is mildly annoyed their quiet corner has been invaded. You are suddenly an exhibit, the main attraction in a pop-up museum of improbable fortune. So many people are suddenly staring intently at you. You feel like you've accidentally wandered onto the stage during a televised talent show, wearing nothing but a strategically placed sock puppet and a look of profound confusion. This involuntary spotlight is a jarring contrast to the anonymity you craved, the invisibility cloak of desperation you wore just moments before. Now, every flicker of emotion on your face, every trembling hand, every bewildered blink is being observed, cataloged, and probably live-tweeted by Brenda if she had a spare moment. It's overwhelming, intrusive, and frankly a little terrifying. You want to shrink, to disappear, but you are pinned by the weight of 1,000 curious eyes and the relentless, joyful shriek of your newly acquired financial bazooka. Public announcements of big wins have a long and often flamboyant history. In centuries past, major lottery winners weren't just quietly informed. Their good fortune was often proclaimed from town squares, announced by bell ringers, or even celebrated with spontaneous parades. The winner became an instant local hero, a living testament to the dream that anyone, regardless of station, could be touched by fortune's golden finger. Their names were on everyone's lips, their stories told and retold, often embellished with each telling. You're getting a very small, very concentrated taste of that sudden, bewildering fame right now, and it's less heroic parade and more slightly bewildered penguins surrounded by very enthusiastic seagulls. The rising murmur of the crowd, the insistent flash of phone cameras, because of course, someone is already trying to get a blurry video for their social media. Caption, OMG, witnessed this rando win big. The almost physical press of bodies trying to get a closer look. It all combines into a disorienting sensory soup. Someone at the edge of the gathering shouts, "Hey, buddy, let me rub your head for luck," and you instinctively flinch. Another, a woman with eyes that seem to see straight into your now hypothetically bursting bank account, coos, "You must be the luckiest person in the world right now, sweetie. Don't forget your friends. You've never seen her before in your life." Historians and folklorists often note, you recall from some forgotten documentary, that in many cultures, there's a deep-seated belief that good fortune is a tangible, almost contagious substance. Thus, the desire to touch a lottery winner, or to obtain some small token from them, isn't just about curiosity. It's an attempt to attract a similar blessing. Or maybe you think they just want to make sure you're real and not a very convincing casino-sponsored hologram. The casino staff, to their credit, are attempting to impose some order on the burgeoning chaos. Brenda is trying to gently shepherd you towards a slightly less public area, while the sharp-suited manager and a couple of newly arrived security guards, who look like they could arm wrestle bears and win, are forming a polite but firm human barrier between you and the more enthusiastic well-wishers. "If you'll just come this way, Sir/Ma'am," the manager says, his voice is smooth, reassuring baritone that's probably been scientifically calibrated to soothe agitated jackpot winners. "We just need to verify a few things. Standard procedure." You nod dumbly, your own attempts to speak resulting in a sound that's somewhere between a surprised squeak and a confused groan. You're trying for calm and collected millionaire, but you're pretty sure you're landing closer to startled woodland creature who's just seen a UFO. Word is spreading through the casino like wildfire through a particularly dry field of gossip. You can almost see it ripple outwards, whispers becoming excited chatter, chatter becoming exclamations, patrons nudging each other, pointing towards your general vicinity. The casino grapevine is a notoriously efficient network, and a win of this magnitude is headline news. Sociologists and anthropologists still debate. A distant academic voice lectures in your brain whether the public fascination with sudden, large windfalls stems more from a vicarious enjoyment of fantasy, an expression of communal hope, or a subtle societal reinforcement of the dream of upward mobility, however improbable it may be in statistical reality. Right now, You're less concerned with the sociological implications and more concerned with whether your legs are going to continue their impressive impersonation of overcooked spaghetti. The first tiny, sharp pinprick of new reality problems begins to penetrate your days. As Brenda tries to guide you away, a voice from the crowd, more insistent this time, calls out, "Hey, you won. How about a little something for a guy down on his luck?" "Huh? Just 100. You won't even miss it." Your stomach lurches. You haven't even seen the money, haven't processed it, and already the demands, the expectations are starting. The manager gives the shouter a steely glare that could curdle milk and mutters something about decorum. But the seed is planted. This isn't just a number on a screen anymore. It's something that will fundamentally alter every interaction you have. The casino manager is now explaining something about tax forms and payout options, his words a meaningless buzz in your ears. You nod along, pretending to understand, while your internal monologue is still stuck on a continuous loop of a cartoon character's eyes turning into giant, spinning dollar signs. Despite being surrounded by a throng of excited, envious, and curious people, you feel a profound sense of isolation. No one here, not even the practiced casino staff, can truly comprehend the seismic shift that has just occurred within you. You are on a tiny, newly formed island of unbelievable fortune, and everyone else is on the distant shore, looking over. You are in the eye of a human storm, a swirling vortex of noise, light, and emotion, all centered on you and the impossible event that your final coin somehow, inexplicably, unleashed. The world is pressing in, eager to get a piece of your miracle, and you're just trying to remember how to breathe. You are gently but firmly steered away from the erupting volcano of noise and light that was once just an unassuming slot machine. Brenda, your initial point of contact with this new reality, and the sharp-suited manager, whose name you think might be Mr. Henderson, or was it Harrison? Your brain is still mostly offline, form a surprisingly effective human shield against the pressing curiosity of the crowd. They guide you through a discreet, unmarked door you hadn't even noticed before, a portal from the public theater of dreams into the more mundane, backstage reality of casino operations. The contrast is immediate and startling. The cacophony of the casino floor fades, replaced by the quiet hum of fluorescent lights, the distant clatter of what might be an industrial-sized dishwasher, and the smell of old coffee and paperwork.